I never expected to become one of those cautionary tales you read bleary-eyed at 3 in the morning, but a mix of leftover adrenaline and lukewarm coffee has me typing. Last spring, my life resembled a straight-line equation. 29 years old, civil engineer awaiting my PE results, credit score above 780, engaged to Vanessa, the razor-witted copywriter. I met at a chaotic Friendsgiving 3 Novembers earlier. We bonded over the only unburned slice of pumpkin pie, swapped sarcastic commentary about our friends' karaoke, and by the following autumn, we had joint lease papers and a 4-figure rent payment that made us feel like adults. Weeknights were Netflix, blueprints spread across the couch, and playful arguments about whether cilantro belonged in everything. Life felt predictable, and I mistook predictable for permanent. Vanessa lived for spectacle. Saturdays became last-minute road trips, brewery crawls, and marathon photo hunts for the perfect latte art shot. I'm wired for checklists and well-labeled storage bins, yet somehow the contrast worked. By Christmas of year 2, I had memorized her coffee order, quad espresso over ice, 2 pumps vanilla, and she had memorized the quickest route to my anxiety, missing early morning alarms. Even our arguments felt as if a continuity editor kept them on theme. In February, I proposed on the city skating rink. Tourists milled around, phones raised. Vanessa ugly cried, said yes, and live-streamed the moment to her followers. Our wedding date was set for August. Restored barn venue, farm-to-table dinner, and a folk duo she'd discovered busking in Asheville because vibe matters more than acoustics. I built color-coded budget sheets. She teased me as spreadsheet boy whenever I grimaced at the totals. Cracks showed in late winter. Vanessa complained she felt boxed in and signed up for pottery class, then kickboxing, then a weekend volunteer shift at an animal shelter an hour away. I applauded every hobby from the bleachers of her expanding life, but we saw each other less. Sex slid from spontaneous to penciled in. Her Instagram captions evolved from fiancé life to cryptic quotes about wild hearts. Then April hit like a precision airstrike. 96 days before the ceremony, yes, I counted, Vanessa came home with a single overnight bag, engagement ring in her pocket. She didn't sit. She said she needed to be single to figure out who she was and thanked me for understanding before I even processed the words. She left while my heartbeat still stuttered. The next month blurred. I canceled vendors, emailed embarrassed apologies to relatives, and boxed registry gifts already delivered. My dad quietly swallowed the lost caterer deposit. Vanessa's mother left voicemails framed as apologies, yet somehow centered on Vanessa's bravery. Nights, I slept on my friend Liam's couch because the apartment felt haunted. Therapy became triage. Dr. Patel had me write a letter to Vanessa, asking every question my head screamed at 2 a.m. I filled 9 pages. The final line read, "You are no longer the main character in my story." Shredding those pages felt like cauterizing a wound. By July, I could endure entire days without thinking of her. I ran my first half marathon, passed the PE exam, and converted the second bedroom into an office full of thrift store walnut. Life was smaller, but entirely mine. Mid-November, a Thursday smeared with drizzle, I was kneeling on drop cloths measuring plywood when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, Vanessa stood there, mascara streaked, hoodie stretched over a belly that looked 7 months along. Seeing her felt like taking a shovel to the chest. I opened but kept the chain latched. She led with 3 words. "It's yours, Aaron." She claimed she'd discovered the pregnancy late, and shame kept her silent. But after talking with her pastor, She decided I deserved involvement. Conception, she said, happened the second weekend of March, during an Airbnb trip where she'd come to talk. We had slept together once then, a guilt-dense blur. Technically possible, but she'd posted boomerangs from clubs 2 counties away that same night. I asked how certain she was. She answered, about 95%, the missing 5 drumming suspicion into every vein. I told her we would schedule a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. She agreed, visibly relieved the door had not slammed. Once she left, I launched Operation Truth Hammer. I read medical journals on sperm viability, researched accredited labs, and exported my March GPS logs. I cross-referenced them with her public posts. On the alleged conception night, my phone data put me at a field inspection, 90 miles away until 10 p.m. She had tagged herself at a rooftop dance party at 12:47 a.m., screenshot saved. Friday morning, I called my cousin Delia, a family law attorney who builds boundary walls for a living. She advised signing nothing, giving no money, and documenting every interaction. Intentional paternity fraud, she said, could expose Vanessa to civil liability. I wasn't chasing revenge yet, just the truth, but knowledge is Kevlar. Over the weekend, Vanessa sent bonding updates, salted caramel cravings, stroller links, ultrasound photo captioned, "Hi Dad." I responded with neutral thumbs-up emojis, archiving everything. Liam watched me seethe, then forced me to bench press away the cortisol. Tuesday's clinic was fluorescent and frigid. The lab tech drew Vanessa's blood, swabbed my cheek, stamped chain of custody forms. Results promised in 10 business days, emailed to both attorneys. We parted at the elevator like co-workers after a tense meeting. Waiting gnawed. I buried myself in a coastal seawall project, kept my phone face down, and rehearsed co-parenting scenarios just in case. Integrity doesn't require perfect origin stories. 4 days before results, I invited Mr. and Mrs. Castillo to brunch. Over omelets, I laid out the claim, my evidence, and the forthcoming report. Their confusion collapsed into alarm. Vanessa had told them the father was a fling who ghosted. I slid copies of the lab paperwork across the table. Transparency is antiseptic. Thursday, 8:03 a.m., subject line, paternity analysis, confidential. Probability of paternity, less than 0.01%, statistically excluded. Relief hit like morphine, followed by molten anger. Vanessa had tried to weld me to lifelong obligations using panic and residual affection. I forwarded the PDF to Delia, then to Vanessa with one line. Not mine. Do not contact me except through counsel. She called within seconds, voice cycling through bargaining, sobs and threats. Tests can be wrong. You're abandoning your child. God sees everything. I said accredited labs beat divine guesswork and hung up. Revenge, I decided, should resemble gravity. Inevitable, silent, ethical. Step 1 was administrative. Vanessa's airline credit card statements still arrived at my place. A fresh bill showed a $2,400 boutique baby furniture charge dated the day she'd appeared. I phoned the issuer, explained the address issue, and suggested verification. They froze the card pending investigation. Step 2 was reputation hygiene. I posted a concise statement on my private Facebook. Paternity test confirms I'm not the father of Vanessa's baby. Please respect everyone's privacy. Supportive comments flowed. 2 men who had briefly dated her requested the report. I shared the summary page and wished them luck. Step 3 involved her workplace. Vanessa had listed me as emergency contact and claimed high-risk pregnancy to secure remote days. HR called my office seeking confirmation. I told the truth. Monday, her LinkedIn updated to open to work. Actions meet consequences. Fallout traveled fast. 3 bridesmaids who had already bought mauve dresses messaged me asking if the rumors were true. I forwarded the summary report. No commentary. One sent back a screenshot of a group chat where Vanessa ranked her potential baby daddies by earning power. My name topped the list with money bag emojis. I saved the image, jaw clenched hard enough to creak, then went for a run. Detaching financially mattered. The engagement ring, vintage half-carat white gold I'd financed, still sat in my dresser. I consigned it, cleared the balance, and used the remaining funds to sponsor a local high school robotics team. Watching teenagers pilot a drone at regionals felt like poetic accounting. Convert a broken promise into flight. Digital boundaries followed. Our shared streaming accounts remained logged in on her tablet. A $74.99 pay-per-view boxing match hit my card at 2 a.m. I rotated every password and enabled 2-factor authentication so aggressive it would thwart a spy. She texted a broken heart emoji because she couldn't finish the limited series we once planned to binge. I left it on red. Silence is a perfectly shaped answer. Selling the untouched wedding decor proved oddly cathartic. Mason jar centerpieces, chalkboard seating charts, vintage lanterns, every Pinterest cliché occupied my closet like ghosts. I listed them online. A newly engaged couple arrived in a rattling pickup. They asked why I was letting go of such perfect pieces. Change of plans, I said. They paid cash. Half bought a kettlebell set. Half took my parents to dinner. Operation Truth Hammer's crown jewel was a composite map. I layered my GPS logs and Vanessa's Instagram coordinates in QGIS. My dots cobalt, hers neon pink. Overlaps were rare and never during the fertility window. I printed the map poster size, date-stamped it, and filed it away. I never needed to present it, but owning irrefutable geometry steadied my pulse whenever doubt tried to bloom. Professional life thrived under my new intolerance for ambiguity. My firm assigned me to a waterfront hotel with a savage timetable. I kept immaculate logs, chased missing signatures, and refused hazy specs. When we finished under budget and 3 weeks early, the senior partner hinted at a promotion. Turns out heartbreak can be rocket fuel if you redirect the flame forward. In mid-February, an envelope from Vanessa's insurance provider arrived. She'd attempted to list me as a domestic partner to cut her deductible. Delia fired off a cease and desist so blistering, the provider's legal team called to apologize. My name vanished from their database within 48 hours. Super Bowl Sunday brought certified mail. Vanessa petitioning the county to place my name on the upcoming birth certificate. Hearing set for March 14th. Delia responded with 2 lab reports, GPS data, medical context, and the bridesmaid's screenshot. Court dismissed her petition in 7 minutes. Vanessa, appearing via Zoom, alleged laboratory tampering. The judge asked for proof. She had none and received a stern warning about perjury. After the ruling, I drove to a cliffside overlook and let winter wind numb my cheeks. I didn't scream or cry. I simply breathed until my pulse matched the horizon. I texted Liam one word, free. He replied with a gif of Andy Dufresne standing in the rain. I laughed so hard my jaw ached. Friends urged me to sue for damages. I declined. Instead, I donated the equivalent of my legal fees to a nonprofit that mentors at-risk teen fathers. Delia forwarded the tax receipt. Balance in every sense achieved. One evening, Dr. Patel suggested a final ritual. Write a letter to myself 12 months in the future. I filled 5 pages promising that boundaries would stay fortified and bitterness would evaporate once its job was done. I sealed it, labeled the envelope Open April 2026, and locked it away. Vanessa's daughter, born healthy in late March, appears in photos taken by relatives who forget we're no longer connected. Word is the biological father is a 22-year-old DJ from her Tequila and Possibility tour. Whether he steps up isn't my concern. 2 weeks after the lab results, Mr. Castillo requested a private meeting at a strip mall coffee shop. He sipped black coffee he barely touched and apologized for assuming I would reimburse prenatal bills they'd borrowed to cover. I slid the bridesmaid screenshot across the table. His shoulders collapsed like a folding chair. We parted respectfully, both understanding that collateral damage exists even in surgical strikes. Therapy sessions evolved from field hospital to architect's studio. Dr. Patel drew concentric circles and had me place names inside. Vanessa went into the void. Access revoked. The act felt ceremonial, like banishing corrupt code. I walked out lighter because my story no longer required a villain in every frame. Rumors refused to die quietly. Some insisted I'd bribed the lab. Others claimed the baby's nose matched mine in a 3D ultrasound. I released no statement. Oxygen feeds fire. Liam wanted to upload the dossier to our best of Redditor updates. I bribed him with pizza and the reminder that quiet victories age better than public mud wrestling. Daily routines became ballast. I woke before dawn, brewed pour-over coffee, and crossed the pedestrian bridge to the site while the city still yawned. Lunches turned into mentoring chats with junior engineers. Evenings alternated between heavy lifts and experimental cooking. Gouda-stuffed turkey meatballs are a revelation. Busy hands leave less space for recursion. Untangling our digital footprint served as tedious revenge. We once shared a photo cloud bursting with vacation selfies. I exported the shots that still sparked joy, purged the rest, then deleted the album. Vanessa responded with a sad face emoji. Memories are invitations. You decide which ones get mailed. I sent none. The jeweler called when the ring finally sold. The check covered the balance with $76 left over, which I donated to cover application fees for a high school senior entering aerospace engineering. Her thank you email, full of exclamation points, felt more valuable than any carrot rating. My parents, stoic through the ordeal, finally exhaled after the court dismissal. Mom admitted she'd stored the floral print invitations in the attic. We opened the box, repurposed the cardstock into grocery lists, and laughed, a sound that tasted like relief. I rediscovered music. Silenced playlists came alive as I dusted off my acoustic guitar. A neighbor joined with a portable cajon, and an impromptu jam session gathered dog walkers. Connection, it turned out, didn't require wedding bands. There was dating, eventually. Coffee with Maya, a fellow engineer, stretched 3 hours. She heard the condensed saga and said, "Sounds like your quality assurance process is airtight now." Exactly the tone I needed. To close the legal loop, Delia sent Vanessa a final notice. Future attempts to attach my name would trigger a civil claim. The certified receipt came back stamped with Vanessa's unmistakable V. Silence has a satisfying echo when it means the end. The promotion came faster than expected. At a quarterly meeting, the senior partner announced my elevation to project manager and handed me a plaque. I almost missed the cue to shake his hand because a vision of my past self, kneeling on the skating rink, flickered behind my eyes. Different stage, different props. Later the team celebrated, and I toasted cold water. Every story needs a codicil. Mine arrived last week when a handwritten envelope slid under my door. Inside was a Polaroid of a smiling infant in a sunflower onesie, no note attached. I stared for a minute, feeling nothing sharper than distant curiosity, then filed the photo in the locked drawer beside my sealed future letter. Some artifacts belong in archives. Footnotes, not plot twists. People ask what revenge felt like once the dust settled. I tell them it's less a firework and more the click of a well-fitted joint in a bridge span. Everything aligns. Load paths transmit correctly, and you trust the structure again. Vanessa's collapse taught me to inspect my own foundations, to verify before sealing. Components passed. The final satisfaction isn't in her downfall. It's in knowing the future she tried to draft for me as a null set. My agenda now contains half marathons, river cleanups, and maybe eventually another rooftop proposal. But only after every beam has been load tested twice. I learned firsthand that love, like engineering, demands redundancy, oversight, and honest materials. Those are specs I will not compromise again. Ever. Lessons etched deeper than any tattoo.